What if productivity didn't start with hustle? Transformational trainer Sheetal Sujan joins me today to challenge the traditional productivity playbook. We will talk practical tools, inner alignment, and how softness and stillness can drive high impact results. Tune in for a conversation that blends strategy with soul. This is Strategy Talks. I'll be right back.
Let's strategize together. Let's hear it from an expert. Join the conversation, it's informative and free. You and me, let's talk some strategy. Now here's your host, Morin-van.
Welcome, everybody. Strategy Talks, another Tuesday, another day to listen to Strategy Talks. I'm so glad you're here today. If you're watching us live on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. If you are watching this on the replay, put hashtag replay in the comments. And if you have questions, please ask them so that myself and my guest today can answer those questions. Now, for those of you who listen to Strategy Talks as a podcast, we want to make sure that you feel welcome as well. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And without much further ado, I'm going to introduce you to my guest, Sheetal. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Doreen?
Good. I'm so excited to be talking about productivity, but then in a different way. For those of you who listen to Strategy Talks, you know that some of the topics have come up before and we try to take different angles. At this point, I think I probably have 15 episodes about AI, but they're all different. So I've talked about productivity before, but never with you and never the way we're going to talk about it today. So I'm super excited. Let's start with in your work across leadership, communication, and emotional intelligence, productivity shows up again and again. What drew you to focus on it as a core pillar of your training and coaching?
So I would have to thank my children for that. When you're single and when you're married, when you have children, you go through these different phases in life. You also realize how much time you do and do not have. And I used to think I was very productive before kids. And when my kids, at least when my son was born, I still had to run a business. I think I barely took maternity leave because I'm an entrepreneur. I have to run my business. I can't take time off. I did have a team, but it was a smaller team. I realized, wow, my time management isn't that great. And now I have to handle a baby who was nursing, handle a business. There were meetings to attend. There were still trainings that were put on hold. And that's when I realized I need to be more productive and be able to do a lot in very little time. And that's how it really started out. And of course, my daughter came not too long after that, like a year and a half later. Even more so now, two babies under 3, still running the business, still teaching. I knew I had to do things differently. And that's really where my productivity sessions were born.
All right. Now, in your master class, right? You talk about productivity tools. You teach simple, practical tools. How do you decide on what tools? And just to frame what I have done in 2020, I took an agile marketing class, and agility and the adoption of the agility mindset has really helped me be more productive, to move project forward, right? Even when you're stuck, and to just really work in segments, not long sprints. When you do agility as a team, you work in a sprint and everybody
Right.
has different functions. Being an agile marketer in a team of one, that's a little different. So that's my framework, and that's how I got a lot of hours back. So I would love to know that how you make those choices. And did you set up your own system? How did you come to do what you do now?
So it took a while to come up with what I wanted to do. And how I chose that was the phase I was in my life at the time. What did I need right now? And I always tell people focus on now. A lot of times people are in the future or they're in the past because they're using things of the past that are outdated. They don't work anymore. They just use it because they don't know better,
Hmm.
or because that's what they've learned, that they're not looking for something new. So I told myself I don't want to be stuck in the past. There must be better ways to do this. I'm sure I'm not the only mother in the world who struggled with this. Everyone did. So I started doing some research as a mom, focusing not just on the tools, but my mindset, my sleep, what I was eating, what I was drinking, how often I went to bed. And they would say, yeah, sleeps when the baby sleeps. That doesn't always work because you've got work to do. So I noticed that in different phases of my life, those tools evolve and change. So there's no fixed that, hey, I found these tools and I use this. I do in my masterclass, I do share the ones I have been using for a really long time. And they're really simple things. Hence, I put that in a masterclass and say, listen, if it's something you haven't thought of, or not doing, think about it. Try it out because these are the tools I've used over time besides other tools. Because productivity isn't one thing, it's multiple things.
That's a great answer. I love that. I love that you talk about the now. I think all of us business owners can get stuck in the this is where I want to go and not enjoy the journey or the ride, or this is how it's always done, or this is how
Right.
somebody taught me. One of the things I just read this week, which was so interesting, a friend of mine sent out a newsletter email and she does ClickUp, right? She teaches ClickUp and she gets pulled in, and that's a productivity tool, and she gets pulled in all the time. And she said, I had this client who had bought a $250 ClickUp template and it wasn't working. So this is a new client who's pulling her in. And they were just so upset because they had spent that $250 and they wanted it to work. And instead of just because they had spent the money on it. And she's, look, that template's not worth it. You got taken. Look, you have to
Yeah.
throw it out the window. You just have to believe that the tool is good, but that template is not. And then listen to what I have to tell you, how to show you how to use it. And she said that was like a mindset shift for them. But then also, of course, for herself, that was the whole story about how she realized what kind of client she had to work with. But that kind of stuck with me because I think we all do that, right? We invest a little bit in something and then we're like, I paid for the tool or I paid for this conference. And at the conference, they told me to do this. And then you forget that you have the choice to look around you. So I love that you said that, Sheetal. That's really, really good. So inner alignment, when we talk about stillness, softness, self awareness as a foundation for leadership and productivity, that's beautifully different. And how does this show up in practice for your clients, especially when the stakes are high?
So I noticed that when people are busier, they forget to work out. They forget to eat healthier. They forget that they need to sleep. And what I remind them is that's when you need it the most. That's when you need the stillness the most. That's when you need to make time for it. That's when you need to take those mini breaks in between and step away from the craziness because you drive yourself crazy. You can't be in that chaos all day long, all the time. If anything, that's draining your batteries faster than you can think. But if you become more conscious and more mindful and realize, okay, I know for the next 2 hours, I need to focus and work on this. When those 2 hours are done, you've got to put in some break time, step away, do something else, take a walk, take a breather, meditate for 2 minutes if you will. But those things are a game changer. Like when I start putting that in my crazy days, I felt like I could go on all day. But
Mm.
people forget to do that when it's busy. They say, oh, when I have time. No, that's what you've got to do when you're busy. And that's where the shift starts to happen when people realize when I have hectic days, my body needs more care. I need more sleep. I should go to bed on time. I shouldn't be staying up working crazy hours. Because when that becomes a habit, you're not going to need to do that in the future anymore.
So, side question practically. I live with a husband who goes on and on all the time, but he does put those things into practice. So he'll put his alarm every hour on the hour and he'll get up from his desk and do some push-ups or do some exercises. And then he has alarms for I need to go downstairs and drink some water because he works from home.
Mhm.
So is that a practical way to get in that? Does everybody need a coach? Can you take small steps? I guess the question is if somebody's listening to this and goes, "Oh my god, I've been so busy." And by the way, busy does not mean you get a lot of stuff done. Just means you
Right.
stuff. I need to put some of those things that Doreen and Sheetal are talking about. How can somebody get started? Let's give somebody some practical ideas.
Like you said, start small. People get overwhelmed when they do too much at once, when they stack up too many habits in one day. So I'll have people in the room who'll be like, yeah, I want to drink more water, or I need to have a morning routine, and I need to start exercising. My routines took a while. If anything, they took months. It did not take days or weeks. I started with one thing. For example, I have to make it a habit to get up from my desk every 45 minutes to an hour. And I put reminders on my phone because now your phone can remind you and say, hey, get up, stay, walk, or do something. And just do that for the next 3 weeks. It has to be ingrained that you no longer need your phone to remind you anymore. It becomes a habit. And then when that gets stuck, then you start something else. The problem is everyone wants to do everything at the same time in a very short amount of time. And that's when we forget because it's not a habit as yet. And if we're doing too much at once, it almost is, oh yeah, I had to do this. Oh, never mind. Maybe tomorrow, maybe later. And then you forget about it. So start with 1 to 2 things max. Don't go beyond five or I know people are ambitious out there saying, I want to do this all this week. But even like my morning routines, I do 5 things in the morning. They were stacked up over time. Like my first habit was wake up at 5 a.m. That's it. That took some getting used to. And then once I got used to that, the 5 a.m. went to, okay, meditate for 10 minutes after you wake up at 5 a.m. And then I made sure that sunk in and slowly started other things between 5 and 6 a.m. It took a while. It's not perfect. You're going to mess up. You're going to wake up later. You're going to want to sleep in. Other things will happen. But when your brain starts to realize, oh, this is important and we need to do this every day, it becomes easier over time. And then you no longer have to think about it. So I say start small, do it one at a time, don't do too much. And then all these habits build up over time and then it gets easier.
All right. I love that. A lot of these productivity systems that people use that are out there. Some of them are created by men. They want you to have uninterrupted focus, no caregiving roles, and perfect energy. For women, especially women like us in leadership, how do you, Shital, guide them to find that productivity in a more human and sustainable way? How do you tell them it's okay? Because I guess expectations from others around us might make us feel that we should do it the old way.
Right. Indeed. So one of the things I realized that people forget, like when people come to the training, I'll say, what do you think productivity is? And they'll say, oh, getting my to-do list done, checking things off and making sure I got everything done in a day and going home on time. They'll mention stuff like that. But no one ever mentions getting a good night's sleep, feeling healthy, feeling like alive, feeling happy today, enjoying my work, that kind of stuff. And what people don't realize is that has a direct connection to your productivity. You have a lousy sleep the night before, you're not going to be productive the next day. If anything, you're going to try to push through it. You'll be moody, you have all these emotions, you might snap at someone, and you will notice that you're not working optimally. When maybe you ate something. I know in Suriname we have something called Mandak Sikta, which means Monday we're sick. Why? Because on Saturday, Sunday we partied, we ate things maybe we shouldn't have. We woke up Monday morning not feeling so good, so we end up not going to work. It's like a thing. And then realizing that becomes our responsibility how we take care of ourselves on a weekend. So we're productive Monday morning with the foods that we eat and we drink. So that connection, people are not really making that self care, self awareness.
As women, we are expected to do it all. You say that even when you became a mom, you realized you had to be more productive, but the expectations that we set of ourselves based on what
Right.
society thinks we should be doing, they're almost unattainable. So I love that you say start with self-care and good habits. Now, one of the things that I want to ask you about that is a follow-up to this is what happens when things happen in your life so your routine falls away, or when you have a really hard time, whether that's an illness in the family, you lose a job, something is a big event. What should you lean on at that time to move forward? For example, right now I have an injury, so I can't get up at 6 a.m. and go running, and I'm having a really hard time, and I'm seeing that reflects in my productivity in my day because I'm not able to go outside. I'm not able to get my energy out. So, how do you get back on track when something happens, or what is the awareness around that?
So I realize that I'm not going to have the same routine all year round because, like you said, stuff happens, life happens. And I've learned to accept that there will be days I'm not going to be able to do my meditation or workout in the morning. There will be days that my kids are going to be sick and I will not be sleeping all week. There will be days work's going to be super hectic and I may not get as much sleep as I would like. What I fall back on is this, that the fact that's temporary, it's not going to last forever. And that because I already have these habits in place, even though I missed a couple of days or maybe a week, sometimes even 2 or 3 weeks, I know that when I start again, because I know how it feels to have that routine in place and how my body feels and how energized I am once I get back, then it's just that kind of light at the end of the tunnel. I know what I need to do when this time has passed. So I don't allow that time to stress me because it becomes a mental leak, it becomes an emotional leak. And I'm going to talk about those leaks in a moment. It becomes a physical leak because when we have that heaviness and we don't know what to do after that has passed, that's when you get a bit more confused. Like, what do I do now? Now I have time. But put those habits in place. And let me tell you, my routine was disrupted so many times last year. My mom was sick, and then my husband got sick, and then something happened to there was just so many things happening. But I know what I was going back to once that had passed. And you do what you can with the time you have, knowing that still I have to take care of myself so that I can take care of them. Still, I need to eat healthier, that I have control over whenever I can. Sleep when you can. Don't try to stay up all night for no reason. So do what you can. And then when you get your routine back, you go back to your routine. But it's not perfect. Definitely, my routine's not perfect, but that's reality. And we have to accept that's life. It's not going to be perfect every day.
All right. For somebody who's listening, maybe they're another female, how can we support each other? I know that you do workshops and you have this wonderful way of teaching people this. But what if somebody's watching this and says, I feel so alone. I'm a business owner and I'm expected to do it all. I don't have a partner at home, or I don't have a partner who steps in. It's easy to say get up at 5 a.m., or it's easy to say these things, but I just don't even know who could they lean on, or who could they reach out to, or how could they, because I know from experience for many years I got up at 5 a.m. and that's when I was running. That was when my kids had to get up at 6:30 in the morning to get to school when I had elementary school kids. So I knew between 5 and 6 that was my time. I could go out and run. My husband would be sleeping, the kids would be sleeping. That was the only time of the day that I could have to myself as a stay-at-home mom, and I would go run. And having that accountability partner, knowing that somebody's out there ready to run with me, made all the difference. So if somebody's watching, should they reach out to a friend? Should they reach out to a colleague? Is there somebody, or should they say to their partner, this is what I need. I need you to support me. What would you suggest?
I completely get where that question is coming from because I had those questions going on in my head as well. And because often so busy with work or kids or so. There was a time I didn't even have time to make friends or reach out to anyone. Yes, I think the closest person you have in your life, start with them. For me, that was my husband. I needed him to understand when I needed what. And like you said, the 5 to 6, that's my me time too. That's the only time, because once the house is up, it's like your time, your energy goes in everything else, with your husband, your kids, your family, your work. Then the day just passed by, and maybe you get the last hour in the day. So the conversation with him helped. Even a conversation with my mom. There are days when I'm like, Mom, I really don't know if I can cook on so and so days. You think you can help me out a little bit? Because what I'm trying to say is, if you have someone who can help you, who you can reach out to, who can support you even in just a conversation, because we women love to just let it out of our head. As long as someone's listening, they don't have to solve our problems. As long as someone's listening to us, that can help a lot. They don't have to solve anything for you, for that matter, but have someone you can talk to, have someone you can reach out to. And believe you me, I tell women all the time, if you have someone who can help you, please ask. For some reason, women don't like to ask for help. And I reach out to my mom, to my mother-in-law, to my in-laws. Like right now, they're picking up my kids so that I could be at this podcast. You need people around you. You need people to help you. And for sure, I cannot do it all, right? I can't do this by myself. I need them. So if
Yeah.
you have people in your life who can help you, reach out. You have to ask for help. We can't do it by ourselves.
That's good. I love that you said that. I felt the same way. So let's shift to AI. I know that I just follow you on LinkedIn. I saw the other day you did a workshop about AI. And as AI and automation becomes more common in our workshop, in our productivity, how do you recommend people choose tools and maybe even which to intentionally ignore? Are you seeing pitfalls that people think they're more productive because they're using AI, or what is your thoughts and what are you teaching about that as we're talking about productivity?
So one of the things I started teaching this year was how to use ChatGPT effectively. I'm not using all the tools in AI right now. There's just so many tools. But one of the tools I use every day is ChatGPT, as a brainstorming partner, as helping me with ideas, as just even getting things out of my head, doing like not keeping things in my head and just putting it in a place, because that allows me to be more creative. So I would say ChatGPT is one of those, at least in the last 3 years, has been pretty reliable. I've used that a lot. I do share a lot about that in my productivity sessions as well, especially for those who want to use ChatGPT or something alike. And it's really good to get things out of your head than trying to keep this to-do list, this mental load. And for me, it's been more of a having a partner and a supporter so that I can get things off my head. So I'm like trying to brainstorm something. I'm trying to think, how do I do this? I don't ask, how do I do this anymore? Put it in the GPT and see what comes up. Yes, surely the answers are not accurate. It's not 100%. You won't always get what you want. But the nice thing about it is I don't have to keep stuff in my head anymore. I don't have to wonder how to do things anymore. I don't have to worry about what am I supposed to do about XYZ situation. I put it all in there so that I don't have to keep it in my head. Because if things are in my head, it feels heavier. When I feel heavier, it makes me slower to get things done. So I use AI for a lot of things, and mainly just ensure that I'm not holding on to thoughts, to too much information, to worries, to struggles, that kind of stuff. I put it in there. Once it's out, I feel lighter, and then I can focus, I can concentrate, I can get things done.
That's awesome. We just have a couple minutes left. What is a mindset or a belief that you frequently see that holds people back from implementing productivity tools? And if you see that belief, how can you help them shift that?
I believe that a lot of times people know what to do, because I have people in the sessions all the time. They know exactly what they need to do. Somehow they're not taking action. And it's what I said before. Either they do too much, like they get excited the first week after they do the workshop and say, oh, I'll do this and this and this. And then after 3 or 4 weeks, yeah, I stopped doing that. And then I stopped doing that. And I stopped doing that. Why? Because they're doing too much. And that's why I brought this up initially. Pick one thing, one tool, one thing you can do just for the next 3 weeks, and just do that. See how it feels. For example, that one thing could be, I'm going to go to bed early. That's it. I'm not going to do anything else but go to bed early, and see what that does to your body. You won't notice the changes if you're doing multiple things at the same time. And then you don't know what's working. So what ends up happening is that you end up stopping everything.
Yeah.
Because like people who start working out will notice a difference because they know that's the only thing they started, for example. And then they see a difference in their body, the way your energy levels are and how you sleep and things like that. So you'll notice it. That's why I tell people, do one thing so you can notice what it's doing to you. And then when you feel better, you'll be motivated to start other things. Just don't try to do too much at once.
Mm. All right. Is there anything else that you can share from your experience as being a leader, a business owner, and a mom that helps you be more productive? Is there something that this is our last question that I haven't asked, or a tip, or something that you're like, this is something I share in my workshop, and this is really going to maybe open your eyes to the possibilities? Anything else you want to add to what you've already shared with us?
Yes. And the thing is trusting yourself. A
Mm.
lot of times yes, we could have a lot of tools. You could have this to-do list, but if you don't trust that you will get it done, you don't trust you're capable, you don't trust that things will fall into place, a lot of times it won't. So that positive mindset, that attitude is huge in productivity. Like I could have a really crazy day and I'll look at my to-do list. I don't get overwhelmed at it because I look at it and say, I'll get it done. I just
Mm.
tell me, I don't know how. It's a crazy list. I'm looking at this list and like, I got it. I'll make
Mm.
it happen. If not today, tomorrow. So that is like key in everything.
Okay.
Trust that you can make it happen.
Trust in yourself. That's awesome. Let's leave it at that. Oh, how can people get in contact with you? Where can they find out more information about you?
So I am on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook. I have a website, so you can go to sheetalsujan.com or libragroup.com. That's my company. Connect with me, add me, and I would love to continue the conversation.
Awesome. And I'll make sure for those of you who are listening or watching that all those links are in the show notes of this show. Thank you so much for being with me here today. And I'll be back next week with another episode of Strategy Talks. Bye, everybody.